In a 1031 tax-deferred exchange, timing is not just important, it's actually everything when it comes to compliance. I say that because there's two deadlines that you just simply cannot miss, and if you miss them, you will not qualify for a 1031. There's no such thing as a partial qualification if you miss the deadline. And there are two. One is the 45-day rule and the 180-day rule. And the clock starts on both of them when you transfer the deed, so essentially the closing date of your relinquished property or properties. So on that date, two clocks start. First is the 45-day, what's called identification rule. So from the date that you close on your relinquished property, you have 45 days to identify, typically up to three, it's called the three property rule, 3 parcels of property that you are going to replace your relinquished property with. There's also a 200% rule that if you have more than 3, you can identify more than 3 so long as the essentially sum total of value of everything that you're replacing does not exceed 200% of the value of the property that you relinquished, that you're trying to exchange those proceeds into. You have 45 days to not only identify the property, and then you have to provide that detail to the qualified intermediary that is assisting you with the 1031 exchange. To say this is strict is an understatement. These are calendar days, not business days, weekends, holidays, national disasters. COVID didn't even extend these timeframes. These are very, very hard dates. So you have 45 days to identify what you're going to be replacing your relinquished property with. Hard stop. After that 45 days, you cannot add or amend that list. Now you have to go to closing to figure out, am I going to have a full or partial exchange? And we'll get into that in another video. The second deadline is the 180-day calendar rule. That means you have to complete the purchase of your replacement property or properties within 180 days of the date that you sold and closed on the relinquished property. And these are concurrent with the 45-day period. So for example, if you use all the 45 days to identify your replacement properties, you only have 135 days left to close on them to qualify for the exchange. The critical point on this whole exercise is understanding the difference between the 45-day identification, the 180-day close rule, and they're absolutely strict. So courts have consistently ruled against taxpayers that have missed deadlines even by a single day, which you'd think, oh, it's reasonable. They had a life circumstance, there was a national disaster, COVID, whatever. It doesn't matter. We have yet to see anything that would move a state or federal court in extending these deadlines. So the key there is to plan ahead, right? If you need financing, line financing up, work with your advisors to make sure that what you're doing is going to qualify fully for the 1031. And then having a broker or some advisor start to identify, maybe even in advance of closing of the relinquished property, those that you could consider on a replacement property basis. So again, 45 days to identify, 180 days to close. They run concurrent, and they, under no circumstance that we know of, could they be extended. So if you miss it by a day, you'll disqualify for the entire tax-deferred 1031 exchange.